And hello, ladies and gentlemen, Dark Killer. As you can see, I am up in space at my main base, main space base. So, again, I will make changes to it over time. So, I have a main base. I have a little mining station out that away. But as it happens, I also have a base on the surface of the planet. Now, if I want to, I could of course fly down with a ship or if I get close enough with my jetpack, and that would be useful if I am transporting materials up and down, or uh, I've got some things I want to take down to do some work on the surface of the planet. But at the moment, for example, I'm not really interested in taking things down, and I want to get down quickly. Jetpacking will take too long, and I'm kind of a rush to get down there to do some work, some space administration in the office on Earth. So what I have up here is, as you can see, I have a medical room. So as you know, if I die, you spawn at the closest medical room to you, which of course is this one. And somewhere there's a body now. Now, what I want to do is use these two timers and a switch to do a kind of a teleportation trick. So first thing we do is let's have a look. Okay, menu and my two timer blocks. I have one timer block which I will call on, and I have one timer block which I'll call off. So the medical room timer off will start pretty much after 1 second, and what it does is it takes the medical room and switches it off. Then the next timer that gets called is the medical room on, and we start that. So when the timer starts on this medical room, 5 minutes later it will do the following. It will switch on our medical room. That gives me basically 5 minutes of dead time on this medical room. So next step that I have is you can put this on a wall or a nice area, or you can have the standing switches next to it. I just quickly put it on the floor because it's the closest nearest surface, flat surface that I had. Let's go into the sci-fi button. So first thing, button 1, I have the following action set up, that it will call the medical room off start. Press the button, of course this timer starts. Next thing I'm gonna do is just show that I went to edit text, press, and I set it up to say press the button, wait 1 second, press backspace and respawn. I put it for about 2.5. If it's 3, as you can see, it's slightly too big. And I do like it to be a size that people can see it. You would be surprised how many people do not read signs. I like to have it centered and black background, etc, etc. So what will happen when I press the switch? It will call this timer, and the timer starts the next one. So for the next 5 minutes, this medical room is dead. Which means that if I now say backspace, do you wish to respawn? I died, and I am gonna spawn on the closest medical room available, which happens to be my base on Earth. Now, you can see I have the same setup here, 2 timer blocks, the switch, and the medical room itself, because if it happens that I have more than one of these medical rooms, for example, I have the space base, main base, I have this one, I might have one on my mining outpost, and maybe one on a mining ship or a main base that's mobile. Doing this, I have enough time for all of them to be switched off and stay off while I am basically teleporting from one medical room to the next until I find the one I want to be at. So that is teleportation in a nutshell. Basically kill yourself and spawn at the next available medical room with the one switched off. So the next thing I want to talk about is, as you remember, one of my previous videos, I did solar tracking. I did a solar tower in space. And that's one of my favorite methods of getting free energy in space. Wind turbines, as you see here, does not work up in space. There's no atmosphere. On any planet that has an atmosphere, you can build wind turbines. And as you can see, my standard methodology is surface block, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks up. That is the most effective height. You can go higher, but 8 is the effective height from which to be running a turbine. The reason for that is the turbine's base is calculating how efficient this turbine is, with it being 8 blocks, more than 8 blocks from the surface of the closest planet. It has maximum efficiency. The efficiency increases if you happen to have a windstorm or a weather storm that pushes more airflow through them, so that will increase the power output. But for a normal scenario, normal situation, this is a very good layout to have for your wind turbines. Now, as you can imagine, that's not very well hidden layout, because I can see my base. I see with the voxels distance there's a big hole, but we can see the base. So even if I camouflage it, change the colors, try to hide it in whichever way I want to, this is on the surface. Easy to see, easy to attack, easy to probably destroy. So the next thing I wanted to do about it is I want to hide my wind turbines. Or actually more specifically, I want to hide this whole base deep underground, so that even if somebody is trying to dig for me, if somebody is trying to drop nuclear bombs on top of me, I'm deep enough under the ground to survive. But what to do about power? Of course, I can build nuclear reactors, but in this case, I dug one huge hole that is basically a 18 by 18 grid. What I did in essence is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks space between this turbine space and the wall itself. So as I said previously, the turbine is calculating its efficiency from the closest voxel. It's underground, but it's an atmosphere planet, so according to space engineers, this turbine is running efficiently. I did the cross section again, and I just repeated the process down. Um, as you can see, I like to do 8 block space, just to again not to interfere with them too much. But here on the bottom you can see they're not as frisky as the ones on top. This ones are running definitely a little bit faster than this bottom one, and the reason being is when I did my calculation, I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As you can see, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, but I am counting this half block in the ground, so that is degrading my efficiency. Which is a good example of why I do one surface block and then 8 blocks up, just to get the better efficiency out of my turbines. So If you really dug deep, you dug a big enough hole for your turbines, you can have a very efficient wind turbine farm under the surface, which would be able to supply your base, I believe, with sufficient power to run most of your assemblers. As you can see here, I've got a little split. I have assemblers only. I have 2 drones, which I will be talking about in my next video. So everybody, I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope it has been interesting. And one last note, if I stop this one and teleport, let's see if the other base has finished its timer. Yes, and I teleported back to space. So this one's 5-minute timer has finished. That one's 5-minute timer is running, and there's a dead body down in space, down on the planet. So everybody, thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you do have any comments or any questions or requests, please feel free to put it down in the comments. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful life. Thank you, everybody.